We are starting today on a very important subject. Some of you, after we finish this subject, you will probably be completely changed. Yeah, I think this is one of those chapters that make a lot of sense for enough people. Inside it, we will even have discipline. We will discuss discipline in thinking, discipline in finance, discipline in focus, discipline in activities, a lot of programming that takes place inside our minds, and that forms part of our DNA. Yeah, and as I've mentioned, in at some pages, we're going to read about even our expenses, our spending habits and all that. Actually, it's a lot to do with also what people learn outside there in personal finance management. So it's quite an exciting chapter. Discipline it is. So we started with, this is a 7D book. We started with a dream, and now that we have the dream and we've known what is it that entails a dream, we even talked about purpose, how to identify our purpose. We talked about some of the stumbling blocks, and that can stop us from living our dreams. We talked about our mind. We talked about the formula: results is given by thoughts plus activities. And then we went ahead to determination, backed by burning desire. And we read that whole chapter about determination and all sorts of things. And today we are starting on that important topic called discipline. And let's get started. I know Hassandi, yeah, Noel, you can read for us. Good to see you. It's been a while seeing your face. Unmute.
Okay.
Are you going to read from hard copy? I think that is best. So that this idea of scrolling, I realize it interferes with some people. They don't see.
Okay. Chapter 3.
Yeah. Okay, let me I think, well, I know you read very fast, and I can see there are like 8 pages if we have to reach page 83. So we may read up to, I don't know what you think, but maybe we can read up to page 79 there up, the first paragraph, where the first paragraph ends.
Okay.
You will judge depending on the energy.
Okay, OPP, I'll read up to 79. Yeah, I'll read up to 79, the end
Great.
of the chapter that is starting from page 78. And I won't read faster. Okay. So discipline, investing in you to get better. The formula is be, do, have. Not the other way around like many people think. You become disciplined, then you will do the things that disciplined people do. Only then will you be able to achieve the type of results that disciplined people attain. Again, you must become that person you want in your mind and spirit, then you will do what needs to be done in order to have the corresponding results. If, for example, you want to be successful, it does not start by having the success. It starts with you. You must go through the discipline of being a successful person in order that you may be someone who does what successful people do, acquiring their habits so that you can achieve the success you inspire for. This did not make sense to me the first time. I will not blame you if you cannot understand it either. Rather, I would congratulate you because you are doing the right thing, finding time to study it in this book. Your thirst for knowledge has brought you to this fountain, and you are willing to do your best to absorb everything possible. Your thirst is hopefully being quenched. You are in the process of acquiring new understanding, new beliefs, new attitudes, and thus growing yourself and becoming the person you want to and can be. You are working on your thoughts as you work on your knowledge, which will hopefully lead to some deliberate and spontaneous actions and thus results. That is the foundation. For a long time, I kept debating in my heart what could be the difference between discipline and obedience and which of the two could be superior. It bothered me which of these two I would choose. If I were to pick which of these two I would choose if I were to pick one. In the end, my judgment favored discipline. Though I did not fully understand it as I do today, it appealed to me. Discipline to me simply meant choosing to do the right thing irrespective of my feelings or anyone's opinion, even if it meant a little disobedience. Obedience, on the other hand, meant to me that I am not supposed to question an order issued to me. I simply needed to execute an instruction whether I was in agreement with it or not, as long as it came from a source that commanded a higher level of honor. Those were the days I was in year 1 and 2 in secondary school. I guess that was not very far from the truth. In other words, it seemed to me that in being obedient, I have to trust the other party's judgment, not mine. Today, now that I know, I understand where obedience can be applied and where discipline should be applied. I also understand how important these two things can be. Because my concern for now is discipline, I take this opportunity to give you the definition that has served me well very so far. Discipline is the act of doing what ought to be done as it ought to be done, or even better, whether you feel like doing it or not. That means it is not how you feel in your body that will dictate whether you are going to do it or not. You just do it. The person who carries such acts of discipline is therefore referred to as disciplined. When you are disciplined, you do not make judgment based on your moods or feelings. You do not act according to how you feel, the weather, etc. You just do what you had purposed to do according to your schedule. If it is the right thing to do, you have to do it. And that is the beginning of one of the most important steps in leadership, self-governance. Self-governance, which can also be called self-leadership, comes from discipline. It means you obey your own orders and do not break your own rules.
It is often said, and I agree, that discipline means self-discipline or no discipline at all. Once you are disciplined as an individual, once you have self-discipline, it means you are truly and totally disciplined. A strong man is in charge of his emotions. A weak man is a slave to his emotions. It means you respect yourself. This is not a public relations thing. It has nothing to do with pleasing others. It has something to do with self-respect. You tell yourself, this is what you're going to do, and you stick to it. You commit to yourself and become answerable to your own self. You do not do it to look good for others. Most of discipline is not sweet to self. The act of discipline entails much discomfort and pain. And that is what qualifies the statement whether you feel like doing it or not. It is because it is not very exciting. Most acts of discipline wage war against the body, against the flesh. Your body feels like, I want to sleep. And your mind and spirit tells you, that's not right. You must go out and exercise. And you obey your mind and take control of your body. Your body advises you to hit on the snooze button. Your mind tells you, it's time to wake up. You are the one who set this time, chief, wake up. Then you choose to wake up. Now, if you continue doing this and you set your mind for this every time, then you are being disciplined. Sample this. You make a decision that you're going to jog every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning from 6 a.m. to 6:30. Now, when that time comes, do not start debating whether or not you should go. That is undisciplined. You have to do it whether you slept late or early, whether you are hungry or full, whatever may have happened, unless perhaps you're really sick. But remember that if you are disciplined, no excuse is acceptable. Again, if you told yourself that you are not going to take any more cakes, then that is it. No cakes. It doesn't matter if if it's your birthday or if cake is in plenty. If you have decided to read at least one chapter every morning before you eat your breakfast, or every evening before you sleep, you must do it. Let's hold it there, and then we will complete the remaining pages next time. I think so. Or what do you think, Noel?
I think so too. That's okay. It's going to give us ample time to discuss whatever we have to discuss today.
Great.
Yes.
Great. So welcome everybody, and we are reading the Live Your Dream in 7 Ds. It's the book we've been reading most of this year. Actually, all this year, I think so. Other than the sessions that we've had from other speakers on leadership. And of course, you can always chat aside and you can get a copy of the book. So let's get on. What captures your attention?
Okay, so I have been of late, I've been drawn to watching biographies of different people. So when was it? On Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, like the whole of this weekend, I've been studying Bill Gates. And I watched a documentary on Netflix on how Bill Gates' brain works. And one thing that really captured me was the fact that this guy reads. Bill Gates reads. He has so much thirst for getting knowledge, for getting information, and then the way he works, he is so disciplined. And the interviewer was asking him, so Bill Gates, are there days when you wake up and you feel demotivated? And there's something that he said, the same thing I heard from a certain South African guy that I loved so much. You guys go and research him. He's called Vusi Tembekwayo. Like, I really love that guy. So he said, leaders or winners do not need motivation. What you need is discipline. Very many times you won't be motivated to do anything, but it is discipline that is going to make you do that thing that you're supposed to do. And he went further and said that motivation is just 1% of it. It is 1% of it. But 99% of it is discipline. Discipline. How disciplined are you? And then it is only discipline that is going to take you towards the vision that you have attained, that you have set for yourself, towards your mission, towards whatever goals you want to reach in life. So what we need is discipline and not motivation.
Nice. Yes. I love the concept you brought about discipline. One of the things that is eluded or where people have really given up is in reading. And that's why it's often said that if you want to hide anything to an African, I want to believe it's just not Africans, but even the rest of the world nowadays, you hide it in books. Today, many people would rather read Twitter or Facebook comments and all sorts of things. But holding a book to read, or just an ebook, or listening to audio books, is something that people don't get time for. And they will tell you, I actually lack time. but they have the time to read all the messages in the WhatsApp. They have the time to, I remember a lecturer of ours used to ask, where do you get time to take 3 meals a day? And he can't get time to take 3 meals a day. But he's researching, he's reading, he was always in the lab. And some of us get time not just to take 3 meals a day, but to visit the washroom very many times in a day and all sorts of things. But we will get time to wait at the bus stage. We will get time to wait for other people to party, but not to read. So what you're talking about, the discipline culture when it comes to reading, it's very essential. And I picked this as a good number of years back. I listened to Les Brown, and Les Brown was saying, you must read every day a chapter a day, and you must read at least 1 hour a day. Then it says, I take 2 because my dreams are bigger. Then I realized if your dreams are bigger, then you need to read more. Somebody said, Jim Rohn, that take 30 minutes a day, miss a meal, but not your 30 minutes. Miss everything else. Miss even doctor's appointment, but not your 30 minutes, because you can lose money, but not your 30 minutes. Because if you lose that 30 minutes, if you lose that 30 minutes, you lose your future, you lose your whole life. But if you lose money with your 30 minutes a day on reading, you will be able to regain all that. No, that's not enough. I'm a good student of Trump's materials. So I was reading from him. And he said, I read 4 hours a day. You see, he wakes up at 5 to read. And he will read all sorts of materials, including newspapers from everywhere, because he's in the business of real estate. He's got to know what is happening in India, in Dubai, in China, wherever. So he reads from 5 all the way to around 8 a.m. and something thereabout, just reading. So the element, when it comes to discipline in reading, we have no choice if we want to really live our dreams. You see, so reading, and there is the next bit, when the next bit we are going to start with, where I also indicated there in the book about this business person in South Africa who was giving us a talk, and he was saying he always reads, and he reads I think it's a chapter a day, and his idea is to read before he sleeps. There is a reason people want to read when they wake up and when they want to sleep, because you are programming your mind. It is the last things that you read or you watch that are going to reside in your mind as you sleep, and so they form part of you. So he reads before he sleeps. And so he was telling us that sometimes he would be so sleepy that reading becomes a problem. So he can't sit. He's got to stand up to read. So he's holding a book and reading, but he still sleeps and the book drops. But he wakes up to pick the book and continue reading, because he's put the discipline of reading that particular chapter every day. And the other thing we said there is, whether you feel like doing it or not, to me, that captured everything, and it captures everything. Many times, our bodies wage war against our intention, against our wish. But we have a choice to either agree with it and move according to what it advises us to do, or to insist, to persist in doing what we think is the right thing to do. And that is discipline. We started that by saying it is be, do, have. You will meet people who want to lose weight, but they are not ready to be the people they should be in order to gain the body they want to gain. You are not going to start by doing, you're going to start by being. And then you will be able to do, and then you will be able to have the results that you want. They're very important. Yes, let's contribute what captured your thoughts in the reading? What captured your attention? Or any comment you may have on the same?
Thank you very much for this very interesting topic. In leadership, one thing that I've come to understand is that the most difficult person to lead is myself. And that my goals will always be sabotaged by my other passions. For example, the idea of procrastinating, the idea of feeling that I haven't had enough sleep, or I would rather be doing something else rather than this. So the most important thing is to lead ourselves, because every single decision that we make is an action, and then repeated actions become habit. And then habits become our character, and character determines our destiny.
Everybody has something that people can learn from. And in this case, our topic is just discipline. And we know that what we are trying to say is, irrespective of the character, irrespective of whatever, if we are going to achieve anything, if we have set a goal to achieve, then it will require same old discipline. It doesn't really matter in this case whether your goal is evil, your goal is noble, your goal is what. Even evil goals can only be achieved if people if they are disciplined in their activities, in their effort, and everything else. There is one thing which is not controversial, that we need discipline. And discipline in this case will mean self-discipline or no discipline at all. So if I tell myself I want to wipe out the whole country, I want to clear humanity, I've got to come up with a strategy, and then I've got to have some activity. I've got to be, we are talking about being, I've got to be somebody who can wipe the whole country by my activities, by the programming that I'm instilling in my mind, and everything else. And this is why we've got to know that with all the noble things that we want to achieve, that is going to help humanity, if we miss on this attribute of discipline, then even the fight for what is right cannot work. That is the same thing that we start going to the gym today, and we go again tomorrow, or we choose to go 3 times a week, and we go, and after sometimes we are tired because probably we are not seeing the results, or we feel like where we've reached is okay with us. Discipline and fatigue don't go together. Discipline will help you to discipline your habits, to discipline your persistence, to discipline your thoughts in order to be able to achieve the goal that you desire. If we are going to live our dreams, I think that is the point that we need to emphasize on. Thank you for that contribution. Yes, based on the text, let's have some other thoughts on the same. Or you can give us an example of what discipline has done or not done in your life. Yeah, how you've been able to. I remember when we were in school, I was out of school, but I was teaching. I was contracted as an untrained teacher. And we were sitting with the deputy head teacher in that school and discussing schools. And we were checking the performances across the schools in the region. And we realized that the schools that were performing much better had higher level of discipline. The schools that were performing poorly who had low levels of discipline. And by the way, their level of discipline was always corresponding to the level of discipline of the leader, the head teacher, or the principal, if you wish. The principal who is not disciplined will only produce the students or the learners who are not disciplined. And that lack of discipline, or that environment where there is no discipline, can only bring about poor performance. And today I'm seeing that even in the schools where my people are. this school here, Moi Girls, Nairobi. There is a class there that has been having a lot of indiscipline. And today, even if you check the list of performance for last exams, you don't see Moi Girls. And it's because of the level of the indiscipline that you find there. Not yesterday, but on Saturday, there was some meeting there, and they resolved that those issues are now being settled so that they can go back to the right track. So discipline and success go together. Without discipline, you cannot get success. That's the way it is. That is what we mean. Success, whatever success means to you, is your own definition. It's none of somebody's business. If we remember how we defined it, it is knowing our purpose in life and growing towards our maximum potential and sowing seeds that benefit others. So your purpose is your own purpose. You choose what your purpose is. You find out, you discover what your purpose is. Yes, somebody else would like to contribute on the same.
OPP,
Julia?
am I to understand that our purpose is decided by ourselves? That's not what you've been teaching us in this leadership.
That's what we are saying, that we define our own purpose. That is, I think that is a big topic. We've discussed it in 2 books, in this one and the other one.
So
discern.
our purpose is discerned as by the Creator, not by ourselves.
The Creator gives us the purpose, but he will not stand and teach us what our purpose is. We've got to discern. And that's why if you read in the previous chapter, I think chapter 1, we talk about how do you discern? How do you figure out what it is? It is our work to find out what that purpose is. And I know if we go back to this, we may
No. So I'm just making that point, that it is from the Creator. So if I decide that my purpose is depopulation of the world, that is definitely not from the Creator. And so my succeeding in that is not success.
I understand what you mean. By the way, one philosophy I've always picked, and it doesn't have to agree with you, is that not everyone you are going to meet believes that there is a creator. There are lots of philosophies, and I think if we go into that, we'll be deviating. Not everyone we are going to meet, not everyone we are going to discuss with believes there is a creator. And that is another Pandora's box in the philosophy. So much as I believe and I want to help people to believe, I've learned that in order to help people to believe, we must avoid what I was taught is called the fallacy of single source. When we are going to teach people about even the existence of God, we may not just talk about the Bible only, because people will still challenge that. So we must stay open to the idea that not everyone we are going to meet is necessarily sharing the same faith and belief with us. And therefore, we've got to find a neutral ground to be able to influence them by our love, not by our faith, but by our love. And that is what we are taught in Christianity. So we must leave that room, that when you are going to discuss with people purpose, it's not necessary, or you do not have to bring in the element of religiosity. Not everyone has affiliation to that. I've always tried to stay open to that aspect because of the way I grew up. Yeah, I grew up in a place that had all sorts of faiths. So I stay open. That is it.
I think OPP, I'd concur on that with you, because I remember when I was in Pulse, at times we would go speak to Muslims, at times we will go speak to even atheists about life and everything. So then, how then do I pass the message without looking as if I am imposing on people religion? You get me? I am a very religious person, a very, very, like, I have a solid walk with God. You get me? I have a very solid walk with God. But every time I'm talking to people, even if I have to introduce God to them, I don't like push. And I also have to understand, okay, where are you people? Where are you guys coming from? I remember there's a time in Pulse, that our main purpose in Pulse was saving lives. You get me? There's this time where when a lesbian who was pregnant came, and she was raped she was raped because the parents didn't want her to be a lesbian. So and she was a Muslim. Now we are in a Christian organization. A Muslim has come who is a lesbian, and she was raped. The first thing we do is we did not even introduce God to this lady. We loved on her. She knew we were Christians. She knew we believe in the Bible and everything. But the first thing we did, we loved on her. The first aid was just loving on her, showering her with so much love. And at the end of the day, there's something she said. She said that you guys have really helped me more than even my Muslim friends. And I am not from your religion. You get me? I'm a lesbian. You guys are against lesbianism, but here we are. Anyway, so back to the topic of today. I was reading about someone else. I was reading about someone else who is a boxer, and he failed in so many games, but discipline kept him going. Discipline kept him going. Discipline kept him going. And this one person who is, I would say I am a perfectionist. And because of that, I used to tend to procrastinate a lot. Like even in the most smallest things, I will be like, oh, I need the perfect time to do this. I need the perfect time to journal. I need the perfect time to read my Bible. I am not a crowds people. So even if one person will be in the office with me, I would feel like this is so much crowd. So I'll be like, okay, let me postpone this and do it when I am alone. Let me postpone this and do it when I am alone. Let me postpone this, I will do it during the weekend. And then I realized, by the way, I'm not doing so much of what I'm supposed to do. Why? Because I'm procrastinating. I do not have discipline in my life to do that which I want to do at that time that I'm supposed to do it, because I feel there has to be a perfect time for me to do that. But there's no perfect time. Perfect time is that time that you're in. That just do it at that time. You might not be feeling like doing it, but you just have to do it. You might not be feeling like you want to exercise. For example, I told myself, or I decided to cut down on wheat because I love pancakes. I love nicely done pancakes. But you see, I noticed that at the end of the day, that I ain't doing. You get me? So I decided I'm going to cut down on wheat. I'm not going to eat bread. Yes, I'm not a very big fan of bread, but I'm a big fan of pancakes. Fluffy, soft pancakes with pancake syrup on it. I'm done. I'm finished, kabisa. But through discipline, I first of all decided, okay, if I have to take pancake, I'm just going to take one pancake, just one pancake. And then I was disciplined enough to take one pancake. And then from there, I was disciplined enough now to do away with wheat, to do away with pancakes. Am I tempted to take wheat? Yes, I'm very much tempted. Very many times I'm like, my body is craving for wheat. My body is craving for pancakes. But because there's what I want, what I want to attain, I have disciplined myself to stay on course, not to do what I'm not supposed to do just because I feel like taking pancakes. It doesn't mean I have to take pancakes. Yeah.
Thank you very much. You making me remember. In my learning, there is an uncle of mine I've learned from a lot. And you see, I've learned that discipline forms habit in us when we choose some dimension to follow. I'll give you a few examples. when so many years ago, I would take 4 spoons of sugar in a cup of tea. And then I learned later that sugar is not actually adding anything in our bodies other than subtracting. And so I said, I want to lower it bit by bit. So I went to 3 spoons of sugar, 3 spoons of sugar. The first time, your tongue doesn't want it. It rejects it. It feels like you're denying it something. But over time, your tongue adjusts. And so that is the right amount you want, that right quantity you want. And then if somebody puts 4, you feel like that is too much. If somebody puts 2, you feel that is too little. Then I moved from 3 to 2. And then I dropped to 0. And the body is over time adjusted to that. If somebody puts even a little, I will feel like there is sugar in this. My body already admits that I don't take sugar. And now that is a step towards health. The same thing happens even with cakes. I chose not to take cakes. Occasionally I taste, but I cannot feast on cakes. That is a discipline. It's not because it's not sweet, but when and more so when people are taking it when I'm hungry, I'm tempted to take more of it, but I don't. I just choose not to. The same thing goes with sweets and all sorts of sugary stuff. I usually always say there is no doctor who told me not to. It's just a discipline I inculcated. There is an uncle of mine who chose not to take sugar, to reduce on sugar. And so he chose to take sugar only during school holidays. That was very hard. I found it very hard because then your tongue keeps flip-flopping. At this time, it's taking sugar. At another time, it's not taking sugar. But somewhat he managed to do it, and he keeps doing it. I think nowadays he stopped completely. And then recently, I realized that now he stopped meat, not because anybody told him. He is a medic. And I think as he grows, he keeps giving himself milestones. At this age, I stopped doing this. And he's got the discipline to always work on his farm every evening and every morning. And therefore, he keeps strong now, moving towards late 70s, but very strong, working until he sweats every evening, tending to the garden, and every morning. During the day, he does other things. He can go check people in his clinic. He can go check other projects that he could be supervising. But he's got to do his activity, which makes him sweat and keeps him fit every morning when he wakes up and every evening. That is pretty important. And then I learned that if we choose to carry out a particular task every day or at some frequency, and the first times there is going to be a lot of friction because our bodies, our nature, it is not our nature. It resists it. It's very hard. And that is the inertia we've got to overcome. After sometimes, after repeating it again and again, it becomes our second nature and it becomes very easy. And this is the same reason some people find it very easy waking up at a particular time, even without a watch, without an alarm, because they've set it in their minds and the body is adjusted into that. I learned that our bodies will always respond to the way we set it. It is something that we set for ourselves and move into that. Well, there is also the habit of reading that we were talking about. For example, I always have a morning routine. When I wake up, what is it that I do? What is it? And you'll realize that all of you, each and every person has some sort of morning routine. You can always change it into what suits you better so that you become that person whom you want to become. Most times we tend to break the rules. We tend to break our own rules. And if we break them, we end up having having that habit of breaking, because you did it once, you end up doing it again and again, and it becomes your habit also. and therefore you become somebody who doesn't have discipline. So this concept of discipline, I think what we need to come out with is we are the people in charge, and we've got to set that particular rhythm. If you check today, I think at the beginning of the year, people had New Year resolutions or New Year goals. Enough people are not able to remember what they set up. If they do, they are not committed to it anymore because there was no discipline. And we can all attest to that. If you are still moving on track, it's because there is some degree of discipline that you've been able to inculcate. That is the way it works. Yes, we have some 10 more minutes left. Any other person would like to say something? Liz, you were here earlier and we started with you. Maybe you can share with us how that discipline affects you.
Maybe before Liz shares, I can
Oh, yes,
share.
Susan. Yeah.
Just the way you said, keep track. I always find it, especially when I'm starting a new thing, to keep falling back when I'm handling discipline. And what I always keep in my mind is that, Susan, it's hard because I'm not used to the system. The moment I will get used to the system, it will flow seamlessly. And in fact, that one has really helped me. A good example was joining the Power Monday. The moment I had Power Monday, on a Monday, that was a little bit terrible because Mondays I used to have an obligation, a responsibility, like every Monday. So I was like, I need to work it out. So most of the time, those are the times that I could log in while I didn't give it a full concentration. I listen while doing other things. But I was saying, so that ultimately this is what I'm going to do. So with that, it keeps me, I started, but I know I'm working on it gradually, when settling other things that that time I used to do. So I settled them with the time. So finally, I find myself that I've settled those other things, and now I get concentrated to Power Monday. I sit down to concentrate on Power Monday. So that is just as an example. At times, you can desire and want to have the discipline, but it all of a sudden flips, mainly, especially when you are getting, I always call it, you are moving from one level to the next level, meaning the other level you have been, you are now comfortable, you can do it with ease. Now you need another part. For example, if you've been reading a chapter, I give example maybe of a Bible, sorry to use that. I've not been reading a Bible, now I want to read a Bible. Reading that chapter daily becomes hard. A time comes that now you can read a chapter. Now you are yearning to do 2 chapters. Now you are yearning to do 3 chapters. So with that time, it comes a little bit easy. And with that, just as we have discussed, there's nothing impossible for a disciplined person. You will go miles because you will always find these ones I can now manage. I need something that gauges my comfortability, meaning I'm moving from comfort zone to uncomfort zone, because I've known with uncomfort zone, I'm growing as compared to comfort zone. And then that one, discipline becomes something part of you, and it becomes more easy, and that you don't even remember, you don't even know that you're always disciplined. You only hear people commenting that you're disciplined. Why? Because discipline has become part of your culture. You know, for the first time, I have to struggle and flip back, but being that I know why I'm flipping back, because it has not been my comfort zone, I have to work it becomes my comfort zone. Then the next act in discipline, the next activity, you get to get disciplined and things flow seamlessly. That's what I can share. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You've mentioned something very important. You see, for example, I started reading a Bible, or we Catholics have daily readings. So I started by taking daily readings every day, but I realized that's not enough. I will not read every part of the Bible. Yeah, some of us think that if we read every day, 3 years, we are going to read every part. No, it's not very accurate. There are parts that are not very much included. So I started reading a chapter a day. Today I read 2 chapters every day. That's the way it is. I read after I've woken up. I was talking about morning routine. I've taken children back to school. I've done a few things. I've done my daily reading. Then I read 2 chapters every day. Yeah, and that is, then after that I can read other things. I can listen to some audiobooks, and that is the way my morning runs. So, and if you count the reason you failed in something, you'll most likely be able to attach it in lack of discipline to it. And I'll give you a good example. One is playing a keyboard, music or keyboard or organ. I learned how to do that, and I know that I have the knowledge of doing it, but I'm not able to do it because it's a skill thing and it requires discipline. I wasn't disciplined enough to do it every day. The people with whom we were practicing today are very good in doing it, and some of them are being called to play organ every other time whenever people are doing some music. Some other people are writing songs today, very serious musicians. But I had the keyboard in my room when I was in the university in Chiromo. I was the custodian, but I did not have that discipline when it came to practicing. I chose to be doing it every day, but I couldn't. I had other things that were always taking precedence. And to date, I've not been able to learn that. I attribute it to lack of discipline in that area. When you are talking about Power Monday, when we discussed this, and by the way, we started discussing this with this very Noel, I said, I'm not a morning person. I strain myself to do anything active that requires more thinking in the morning. I'm a late person. I'm more productive at night. I'm more productive in the afternoon towards evening. But I said the perfect time, and people have suggested, why can't you make it another day, early on a Monday? So I understand what you are talking about. I said the only people who will be able to attend this are people who are disciplined enough, people who have something they want to gain, and so they will be able to overcome that resistance. They pay something for it. What is that something? Waking up early and choosing to attend and discuss, and then you make your whole week full of energy. That's the way it is. Thank you very much, Susan. Yes, Aloysius.
Yeah, thank you for the sharing. When you talk about the discipline, I think we have much diverted to mannerism and behavior. But here in discipline, I think in this context, we are meaning like the ability to follow the routine program. For example, me when I was in the seminary, like it was a must, like at 6 in the morning, you are in the chapel. There is reflection, there is meditation, then prayers, then the mass. And midday, there is also prayers. And in the evening, there is also prayers. And also there is studying, there is money work, and all those programs, they were followed very well because they were stipulated on the program and the timetable. So discipline here means the ability to follow the routine program without delay or without any excuse. Thank you.
Thank you, Aloysius. Yeah, we defined it. We defined discipline as doing what ought to be done the way it ought to be done, whether we feel like doing it or not. You see, so it's programming ourselves to be able to do the right thing. And we are not going to base it on our own feeling that today I'm tired or I'm hungry now. I told myself I will not steal, but now that I'm hungry, you see, it is not based on anything else. It's you are going to do it to do it. You're going to do it because it is what you've chosen to do. You resolve to do it. Another example I can give, and I've always given this example. There is another village mate, so to speak. This was an elderly person. He was a dad to a good friend of mine. We used to work together in his farm during those my young days. And he was a big smoker, you see. Then he woke up someday and surprised us, said, from today henceforth, I will not smoke. And by the way, he never smoked until he died. What is it that made him do that? Just to make a decision and stick to it. Making a decision is one thing. Sticking to it requires high level of discipline. Making decision to go to the chapel at the, we call them the divine office hours, the prayer times. It's one thing. And when we are excited, this is why people even get into relationships with excitement. You will get and pick everything, but now sticking to it will require some degree of discipline. You see, so making a decision is one thing, but following that decision, that resolution that we have made will always entail discipline, and lack of that discipline will always cause us to fail. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it is studying for exam, or we are running a business, or we are building our career, whatever it is, we are going to require this bit of discipline. That's the way it works. Thank you very much. And I wanted to say, by the way, there are people whom we call the disciplined forces. I don't really believe they are disciplined. They are just obedient forces. Yeah? I may be wrong. It's just that they take orders and execute. Discipline, as we were talking about it, does not mean you will execute an order that is that is against your values. Just because you are given an order, you will only do that which you own and that which you've chosen to do. You see, so with discipline, we are going to develop, we are going to become new people. You become a new person, and that's why we were talking about you be, and then you are able to do. If you are not a disciplined person, if you do not become a disciplined person, you will not be able to do what disciplined people do. And so you will not be able to get what disciplined people get. If you are going to start talking about even saving money, it is a discipline, it is a habit that you make. And if you do not become disciplined enough to be able to do it, you will not be able to get what you are supposed to get. So it is be, do, and have. We are out of time. Yes, Liz, do you want to say something?
Yeah, you had said I say something, so I just said,
Yes.
let me just put on my camera so that you remember me. Well,
Yes.
about discipline was if whatever it is important to you and you focus on it, then discipline follows. You just have to do it because it is important to you. Like now, this Power Monday is important to most of us. That's why we are all on time and we come in. If it was not important or does not add any value, then you realize people don't take it seriously and they don't have the discipline to follow up. So just in my career, I'm in sales, and sometimes this thing you must grow it in you, the discipline. Nobody supervises you, but you must produce results. So some of these things are inculcated by the kind of work we do. And also the background, as you said, about discipline forces, I'm telling you, it is not obedience. Uko ni discipline. We might see it as obedience from where you sit, but if you're an insider, hey, what you go through, I'm telling you, you must be disciplined. So some of these things you find that you are actually, it is cultured into you that you see as if somebody is watching you all the time, that you are trying to go out of your way and all that. So according to me, this is a good topic. We have not exhausted it completely, but so far so good. The views, the people's experiences are also very good. We like it, and continue. We will be supporting you wherever we can. Thank you.
Thank you. We've just started it. We've just started. We are yet to even reach the middle. It's a whole chapter. It's just the beginning, and we were just beginning by setting up the ground. And then we are going to, you see, like the next bit, we will read briefly about that, and then we will go to how do we discipline our thinking so that we don't become negative people. And this is what many people will go through, learning about attitude and whatever, but then it doesn't work. How come it doesn't work? You see, how do we do that? And then we will go to some other things. There are lots of things to learn. So there is a lot in store in the coming Power Monday sessions. Well, I've put my contact there, or Tieno Paul Peter is my name. For we have a WhatsApp group through which we continue to discuss, and we welcome you if you are coming for the first time. We always have this every Monday from 7:15. We log in even as early as 7 just to catch up and discuss, and then we close it at 8:15. It's 1 hour. Now another thing. It seems to be lost to me. Sorry, I don't know at what point. But I was saying, I had an idea that besides just coming for Power Monday, we can empower ourselves much further by even sharing our disciplines or our what we do for a living. You see, for example, Monica here is in NGO. I don't know what they do there, but maybe there is something we can benefit from what they do. Patrick here, I know, is my CPA, always helping me to file returns. There are probably enough other people in here who may want other people to help them file returns. And Dr. Eda here is a counselor, a psychological counselor and a medical doctor, but mostly a counselor. So we can learn from each other. We can share what we do. And maybe when we want services that are related to what you do, you can either provide or guide where best to find them. And I was suggesting that a Wednesday would be a great day. Just choosing, it's a random thing. Many people choose Friday. I'm in other groups where they choose Friday, whatever. But I feel like during the week, it's still fine, or any other day that you feel. And another idea that was coming to me is that, let me just stop this.